Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. It is Wednesday, February 16th. This is the nightcap edition of the live cast. Earlier, I had a little bit of an analysis piece. If you haven't watched it yet, it's it's something to make you think, if nothing else. It's 20 minutes long. I would suggest if you're a Purdue fan, give it a look. Let me know your thoughts. But this is show number two for me today. Barely going to get it under the wire. It's 11:45 p.m. after Purdue has beaten Northwestern on the road in Evanston, 70-64. Purdue improves to 23-4 on the season, 12-4 in the conference. It's a good win. It's a it's one of those wins. It just feels like with Northwestern getting close versus Illinois just days ago. I mean, in the closing minutes, Northwestern had that game down to a 1 point deficit. Illinois ended up winning by six, I think. Purdue, it never got that close for Purdue tonight, but Purdue getting a 6 point win feels pretty good to me. A couple interesting things happened in the closing minutes where Travion Williams, the play that just really got at me was Travion Williams had a putback dunk that was just nasty, and he gets called for over the back, I guess, as Nance was going up for the ball as well at the same time. It was an awful call. And so it went from Purdue getting 2 points and I think extending the lead to 12 to Purdue not getting any points. Northwestern gets the free throws on the other end. It was a questionable call. Literally, it looked like everybody was just shocked at the whistle being blown, and a couple other weird calls at the end just made it feel like a little bit less fun. The cool thing was the Purdue fans in the arena were drowning out any Northwestern fans, which was awesome. That's always the way it is for Purdue when they go to Evanston. It's the way it should be there. And Purdue fans kind of pulled the Boilers across the finish line. Purdue gets its first 4 day break in the last 18 days. That's a big deal because they actually get a full day off, according to what Painter was saying. So this win and this break is extremely important. Purdue gets a day off, and then they get to go into the normal preparation mode with practice and the way they are supposed to do it. Thanks to all those weird out of rhythm games, now they get to go into a bit of a normal schedule, which is great. It's a real godsend for this team, but that's a good win. Purdue, as I said, improving to 23-4 on this business trip is a huge deal. I'm going to get into the stats here just real briefly here in a second, but before I do it, let me thank Martin Vintage, martinvintage.com. Enter Boiled at checkout, get 15% off of your t-shirt or sweatshirt. Go to Gridiron Metalworks, get a grill grate, get a custom spatula that's laser cut metal. Enter Boiled at checkout for 15% off. And of course, go to AJ's. If you're going to the game on Sunday, Purdue tips Sunday versus Rutgers at 5:30. Seems like a great time to get up on campus, get some macaroni and cheese bites, get a cheeseburger, get some beef, get some beer, watch the other games that are finishing out before you head over to Mackey. That's eatajs.com. But it's my perspective is pretty good. It's in a good place right now with our Boilers. Maybe it's because of the analysis I've been doing the last couple of days that I just I value this win right now. That's all. I think Purdue played hard. Purdue looked dead legged. I'll give you an example way they're dead legged, but they had some issues they're trying to overcome, and they overcame them pretty effectively in a couple different ways. One of the big things they had to overcome today, of course, was Ivy was struggling. He was 0 for 6 in the first half. A lot of his shots looked like they were kind of hitting two parts of the rim and going out, but his decision making isn't where it was 2 weeks ago. And I hope that most of that is fatigue, but he's not finishing well around the rim. His 3 point shot is not falling right now, and I'll dig a little deeper into that here in a second. He finished the game 2 for 12, 8 points, 3 assists, 5 rebounds. So solid game, a steal. but not to the level I think many Purdue fans have come to expect, just because of the way he had been playing before the Michigan game specifically. So I look for him to have a monster game here in the next couple. I still look for Sasha Stefanovic to kind of get in the groove. He played very, very well versus Maryland, shot very well, did not shoot very well tonight. 1 of 5 from three, had a big three, but just wasn't. He didn't look good with the ball coming out of his hands. He finished with 7 points, 2 assists. But the two guys that really made the thing go were Edey and Gillis. Edey had 14 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. He had 4 turnovers. He was getting just beaten up mercilessly. And, of course, the Big Ten, or the NCAA officials at the game decided it was a night that Zach hadn't earned any whistles at all. Like, it was incredible to me, like how it would take 3 fouls to get him to get one. He got to the free throw line one time, and he was 2 for 2, which I think is a big deal. Interesting thing, I said Purdue needs to get above 70% from the free throw line really consistently, and they're back at that 66% mark. They did get to the line a bit more tonight, which is good, 14 to 21. But man, they got to hit those free throws. And down the stretch, they missed a couple that were important. Thompson, I think, missed 1 or 2. Hunter missed 1 or 2. That would have put the game completely out of reach for Northwestern. Instead, they were just kind of hovering around. Northwestern shot the ball really, really poorly. I think that's one of the big stories if you want to look at it. From three, they shot 29%. From the floor, they were 35%. It seemed like every time the game looked like it was going to get close and maybe Northwestern come down, hit a shot, they wouldn't hit the shot. The exact opposite of what I think you want to see out of your team. And before the game, I listened to the radio, and Bobby Riddell talked about how, and so did Rob Blackman, talked about how Northwestern, these close games haven't gone their way all season. And Riddell asked the question, why does this happen? And so did they just, to me, they're a team that they don't make plays in crunch time. They just don't. If it's not Bowie hitting shots, they're in major trouble. I mean, Nance, Bowie, Adige, they're all good players. I said that before the game. I'll stick by that. But they really weren't making plays down the end to keep that game close. Let's see if there's anything else here. Trey Williams, quiet game, 4 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds. He played tough, though, at times. He was missing, from the floor. He was 2 for 7. He missed a lot of turnarounds. The same thing I think a lot of these guys are struggling with, Trey is struggling with, and that is that dead leg. Gillis, I think, was huge tonight. He had every time in the second half where it looked like the lead might shrink down, every single time, it seemed like it was Gillis hitting a three. Gillis finishes 3 for 4 from deep, gets back to where he was before the Maryland game. I don't think he shot a 3 in the first half, but played a very, very strong second half. 11 points, 7 rebounds, a steal, just 1 turnover. So, like I said, Purdue moves on to 23-4. They win 70-64. That's a good business trip. That is a really good win. You just got to rack that one up. And now maybe one of Matt Painter's biggest downfalls the last couple of years, Rutgers, and Pikel has them playing great. They beat Illinois tonight, in case you didn't know this, and put Purdue and Illinois and Wisconsin all tied atop the league. Really, Purdue has the tiebreaker over Illinois. Wisconsin has the tiebreaker over Purdue. I mean, it's not going to matter because the Purdue gets Wisconsin head to head, but it's an interesting subplot if nothing else. It looks to me like a 5-loss team will win the Big Ten. So we'll see what happens. Got a couple people listening, watching live. Let's see if any of these 8 games in 21 days. Now only 4 in the next 18. Zachary Young says that. So Purdue had played 7 games in 18 days, 8 games in 21 days. A lot of people don't seem to understand that this is a big deal. I explained it in my quick cast 2 episodes ago about how much of a grinder Purdue was in the middle of and how unusual and odd it is. Purdue had 7 games in 18 days, and the nearest team to them in the top 10 in America or the Big Ten had 5 games in that same period. That's a big deal. That's not a normal college basketball schedule, and these guys have earned a break, and now they'll have a couple breaks here in the next few days, which is really good to see between the upcoming games. Um, yeah. Steve McCabe says, "Looks like you still got a bit of a cough left. Fingers crossed that you get better." I'm getting better, man. I feel good. Nothing really major to talk about there. I'm a person that I get a cough in the winter generally, but this one was exacerbated by COVID or whatever the hell virus I had. But it's pretty normal. And I do feel better. My dog says, "Feeling better? Thanks." Yeah, I do feel better. Feel a lot better, and it's just something I kind of got to deal with. No big deal. Let's see. I think let's see. Let's see if there's anything here. Yeah, Chris Harder says, hopefully this makes for good conditioning in the tournament. I think that's a big deal. I think the big thing is it conditions these guys to kind of scratch and claw through fatigue, if nothing else, right? Because hopefully this is as tired as they're going to be. I mean, Bardo at the end of the game, who I'm not a big fan of at all, said, they're going to have to play 4 games and however many days in the Big Ten tournament. I don't care about the Big Ten tournament. I'd rather see them win a game or 2 and then start getting ready for the dance. But you can't really control that. Just go play your best game and see what happens. But this is different because it was not a sprint weekend like the tournaments are. It was a marathon where it was just like over and over and over the same thing. But it's okay. People don't get it. That's all right. I don't know if you're going to get it at this point if you haven't understood what's been said. But I do encourage you to go look at the last couple quick casts, couple explanations of why Purdue is fatigued. I think it's legit. It's not imagined. Let's see. Steve McCabe says Bardo was in rare form tonight. Bardo, I had somebody get upset with me because they said, I don't know why you don't like Bardo. Bardo literally wanted an intentional foul to be called on Isaiah Thompson as the game came to a close and thought the Trey Williams dunk putback was a good call, and it was not a good call. So that was enough for me. I broke a cardinal rule of my own, which is put it on mute when Bardo is doing the game. There's a couple guys I just can't stand, and it's okay. If you love him, I'm glad you love him. But he's not my style. So, whatever. And, yeah, he loves Jaden Ivey. I'll say that. And that's nice, I guess. But who doesn't love Jaden Ivey? I mean, he's freaking great, and he's fun to watch, and I get why people like to watch him. But this Rutgers game is a big deal. Looking forward to Purdue playing their best game possible. Let the chips fall where they may. If they have effort like they did on defense today, and they can hit just a few more shots, I think they can win going away. The passing looked excellent in the first half. Like, they were really moving the ball well, moving without the ball for a couple. It was a pretty good stretch, 5 to 7 minutes, but the shots were not falling. I think the shots will fall on Mackey, and I think they'll. I think that Maryland game was an unusual one. I think the Michigan game was an unusual one. I think Purdue is what the statistics say of them. So, Unused Channel says, if we play like we did today, do you think we win against Rutgers? No, I don't. Rutgers is playing so darn well. If you've watched them play last couple games, they are playing the best basketball, maybe in the nation, definitely in the conference right now. Their defense is awesome. Purdue has struggled versus really good defenses all year. Struggled versus Rutgers first time. Struggled with Wisconsin. Struggled versus IU. Those are 3 of the 4 best defensive teams in the league. They both get up all 3 of those get up in your jersey. Rutgers on-ball defense is excellent. They've got great athletes. They've got that power forward who has just freakish dimensions, amazing wingspan, great athlete. So a little bit different of a formula than many of the teams up at the top of the Big Ten this year. So Rutgers is playing really well. Purdue's going to need to play one of their best games of the year to beat them. But I think they got it in them, and I think they are long overdue to beat Rutgers. So we'll see what happens, though. They got to play better than they did. Got to play better than they have been the last 3 games. But today was a little bit of a half step forward, not a full step forward compared to Michigan and Maryland, and just has a better feel. So thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for the people that are live here. It's awesome. Great to see you guys. And Purdue needs to start getting tuned up for the tournament. I think it's now it's Rutgers, Wisconsin, Michigan State, or Michigan State, Wisconsin. I think it's Rutgers, Michigan State, Wisconsin, IU to end the regular season. So this is the home stretch. This is it. This is the time Purdue needs to get tuned up for the big dance, and looking forward to them doing it. Thanks again for tuning in. God bless you. Hammer down, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.